Hello, good evening everyone, and welcome to the Young Norfolk Writing Competition Showcase 2021. It's such a pleasure to see you all here in Dragon Hall and to welcome you back to the National Centre for Writing. This is one of our first events, certainly our first young people's events that we've done in the last, 18 months or so. So it's so nice to have a hall full of smiling faces and to be able to hear some fantastic performances. I'm not going to stay up here for much longer. My name is Vicky, I'm the Programme Officer, and I work in the Learning Participation team at the Centre for Writing, helping to judge this fantastic competition. And I'm going to pass it straight over to our first performance of the night. I'd like to welcome to the stage Poppy Stevens.
It is so amazing to be in a room full of actual people and not in front of a screen. So it's lovely to see you all here today. I had the pleasure of working with all the young people this afternoon, and you're in for an absolute treat. They are so talented. It is unbelievable. So yeah, I'm very excited to pass over to them. But I'm gonna do a few poems for you of my own. This year has obviously been extremely tricky for so many people. And we keep saying it, and I don't think we can say it enough, but I'm so thankful for everything that the NHS did for us. My mother-in-law worked tirelessly at the hospital all the way through the pandemic. So this first poem is a little nod to her and the sacrifices that she made and the sacrifices that everyone within the NHS had to make. Senior nurse. Fills a pillowcase bag, drawstring tight, machine set to wash clean of nightmares. Stripped to goosebumps, the insoluble cling, shower hot to wash clean of guilt. Bones piled on the sofa, sick with the news. Forgetting her, he kisses the screen, asks, "Why you trapped in there, Nana?" Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, it's been a really difficult year, and obviously all of the performances had to stop, which was really unfortunate. But one thing that we were able to do is adapt, and so much went online, which was brilliant, and has made things so accessible, which is brilliant. And I hope that's something we carry forwards. So last year, like a year and a half ago, I was commissioned by the Young Norfolk Arts Festival and the National Centre for Writing to create a poem for last year's showcase, which went online in the end, and we made a film of it, which was brilliant. And what we wanted for this poem really was to get a sense of the discoveries made during lockdown. And one of those discoveries that I made, and I know a lot of people did as well, is finding stillness. A stillness that we had never experienced before in our lifetimes. So this is the poem that was commissioned last year, and it is such a joy to share it with you all in person this year. It's called The Wish. I've often heard people say they wish to be a bird, to have eyes like a searchlight captaining the night, soar up high, pillow fight clouds, hover where space meets sky, greet stars, sing loud. Weave through trees, making invisible patterns in a forest tapestry. Wing-tip brushes painted inside the lines draw a masterpiece in the landscapes behind. Dancing in formation, migration with no visa, no forward planning, just following the summer. But I don't think they've thought it through. If, by the swish of a wand, you were a duck in a pond, or an owl in a tree, or a gull bobbing on the sea. Yes, I would like to travel to every country, to go wherever it is sunny, but I have a fear of heights. Even on aeroplane flights, I get scared. And they are well prepared with engine and fuel. Imagine having nothing at all, only wings flapping. I get out of breath just running down the road, let alone flying across countries. And what if it snowed? Sleeping in a nest of sticks and leaves, no cushions or blankets. Surely I would freeze. And I would miss my friends loads, only getting to see them through kitchen windows, to never talk. Only sing and hope they understand squawk. Seeing in the dark would be nice, but I don't fancy eating mice. No, I don't think I would wish to be a bird. The reality is far too absurd. I've searched my mind, trying to find what my one wish would be. Others wished to be wealthy, to be beautiful, strong, healthy, to be powerful, teleport through time, be forever youthful. They unwrapped their wishes so quickly, and I couldn't find why I found it so tricky. Then I realized. I popped it in my pocket, thought it wise to save it, because all I need can be found right here on the ground. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, it was lovely doing that to some actual people. I thought it would only be appropriate, this is my final poem of the evening, and then I will hand over to the incredible talent that we have this evening. I thought it would only be appropriate if I ended with a football poem. Seeing as we are coming home tonight, it is coming home. When I was little, my family are all from East London, so when I was little, we would travel down on a Friday night and go and watch West Ham play, and it was just like magic, absolute magic. So this is called Pretty Bubble. Flying through the crowd, we pop into fluorescent safety. Jars of pickled men stacked on white-tiled counters. The governor serves us the regular, chucks in a free one for you, gal. Dad orders jellied eels and we run. Claim our table with scarves. Sat on knees playing waitress, we arrange cutlery like at home. Men float past. Football tops over their heads, hoisted into the air like flags, claiming the Bobby Moore statue as their own. We cheer with mouths full of belonging. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Just another final housekeeping note. Obviously, because of the pandemic, we're having to do a bit of a microphone switch. So if you see me popping on and off, shifting around microphones, and if things take a little bit longer in between performances than normal, please forgive us for that. Lucy.
Brilliant, thank you. Spoiler alert, I'm not the great talent. Sorry. I'm the director of Young Norfolk Arts Trust, and I'd like to say a really big thank you to Poppy. That was a great start. Thank you, and really inspiring. So, fantastic, good job. Well, I think we've got loads of things to celebrate today, and one of them begins with the F word, but I'll come to that later. I, too, am really glad that you could join us here in person, and later on in the week, all of this will be available online for our 7th consecutive Young Norfolk Writing Competition awards ceremony, which is quite a feat in itself, I think. This competition is always a highlight of our year and of our festival, and it's a really fine testimony to our brilliant collaboration with the National Centre for Writing and with the County Council. So I'm going to briefly list a few reasons to be cheerful. We had 349 entries spread quite evenly across key stages 3 to 5, and they represented fiction, non-fiction, spoken word, lyrics, poetry, and graphic stories. So a huge amount of entries and a huge amount of different types of work. We have 6 amazing winning entries that you're going to hear in a minute. We have 6 fabulous illustrations of those winning entries, which I hope you've had a good look at already. You get more of a chance to look on the way back out. We're going to close the evening by announcing the 2 laureates. The suspense, I'm not going to say anything more about that. We're here because we have, tie myself around the microphone stand, because we have great colleagues, great friends, great supporters, and both in the city and in the county. And those are the people who ensure that we can be here again, running the competition, holding the awards ceremony, and celebrating the enormous amount of talent that we have in the county. And this is what real talent development looks like. This is where it starts, And then you go on and your career develops and you become a poppy, etc. So this is so important. So please keep on supporting us to do this. Finally, the F word. It's actually our festival. It's not over yet. It's still going on. Tomorrow is film day. Lots going on online, lots going on in person. The exhibition in the crypt continues. So please enjoy it. And our trail of figurines and other audio trail throughout the city is also going on, probably for most of the summer. So make the most of it. Have fun. Have a good summer. Thank you. And I'll now hand over to Robert. He's going to say a bit more about the competition.
Hi, good evening, everyone. On this night of... I'll take it off. On this night of tribal poetry, tribal poetry is in the air in so many ways. It seems, well, it's a wonderful pleasure for me. I've just stopped doing my job for Norfolk County Council and persuading good people like the Writers' Centre to take on daft ventures like this, and it's a real... well, hearing the statistics from Lucy, it's a particular pleasure that this is all carrying on with its own dynamic and its own dynamo-like energy. And as we heard in what Poppy has produced, homespun talent from Watton, and as well as East London. You can never tell in life, and I didn't think that I'd be standing here in 7 years from when Lucy took me to the cold, damp room in the pre-restoration Dragon Hall to have a conversation, and to my astonishment, one meeting, and it was off, and this is the result of it, so an absolute delight. And it's a fine example of cooperative working that, frankly, regional educators, if there's anyone here with their power and influence, should be developing in other parts of the country. It's a very, frankly, low-cost way of showing young people the people and organisations that can help them to nurture the talent they've got. It helps teachers know what the standard is. It helps them give a real audience to their young people. And of demonstrating to you as parents and many others what a county or a borough really believes in educationally, and what talent nurturing is all about. And this can happen across a number of disciplines. So we have the Norfolk Art Competition, which I persuaded Norwich University of the Arts to run, and they do sublimely well. So some of you may have even entered it. There's a wonderful exhibition that's online as we speak. So my thanks are to people like Poppy, to the local experts, to the Writers' Centre, to Vicky particularly, to Becky, who's masterminded a lot of this work, and to the honest brokers who talk to schools, colleges, youth groups, people like Rose Keating, like Phyllis O'Grady at the County Council, who support the work through Norfolk Principles, and the people who promote and celebrate the work like Lucy and do it so sublimely. I'm touched to be here again this year and on so many levels. I trust society doesn't forget COVID's lesson, that emotional expression is what we crave as humans. Here tonight are some of the future writers, Callie, Amy, Oliver, Christabelle, Florence, Mimi, who will remind us of this forcibly but beautifully. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Now it is with great pleasure that I get to welcome the first of our winners to the stage tonight, Callie Arlow, with a piece called The Old Man, and judges said that this piece was very evocative, with good pacing and a beautiful sense of time and place. Callie.
Hi, this is a prose piece about an old man. The old man sat in his overly large red chair. His mind was filled with stories gone untold, and his lips were cracked with the words that had escaped. Every night, the children of the village crowded into his tiny cottage to listen to his tales. As he spoke, the old man's eyes shone with the light of 1,000 suns, and his face became youthful once again. None of the children knew if he told them truths or fictions, but None would ask, too afraid that the facade would shatter and the stories would be snatched away from them. The old man left his door unlocked, his heart full of trust for the people of the village. His doormat was worn down from the stampede of hundreds of tiny feet, each of them so eager to hear him speak. He always entertained them long into the night, his words blanketing them, radiating a warmth that reeked of home and family. The old man knew that his life was fleeting. As a child, life seemed like a permanent force, but now he could feel the shadow of death looming just around the corner, its frosty grip seeping into his frail bones. His life had been given away in the magic that weaved through each word he said to the children, and death was finally coming to claim her prize. The soul he contained was a beacon, blindingly beautiful, and soon it would fade to nothing, as all things do. The inevitability weighed the old man down, heard in every stilted word, in every thought that he could never quite reach the end of, in every late night that fatigued him more and more as his book was drawn to a close. The final chapter of his life was being written even as he was turning back the pages to relive his favourite moments. There was never enough time. There were too many stories. The old man knew that this was to be his last night. He could not hold off death for long. There was one final story desperately clawing its way into the faulty spotlight. This one needed to be told before the old man could rest. The children sat beside the roaring fire. Their excitement was tangible, and a smile bloomed on the old man's face as he lost himself to the past. One last time. Rain and sunshine battled for dominance in the sky as the old man's coffin was lowered into the ground. A sea of mournful people watched the procession with salty tears crashing to the mud below them, despite strong smiles fixed on their faces. They had all been his captivated audience once upon a time, and they all felt their lives darken at the loss. The old man's gravestone was left blank. In all of his stories, through every chapter, the old man had never once told the children his name. His book was rich with excitement, elation, and emotion, but was not adorned with an embellishment for the author. His pen had run out of ink too soon. Now only his legacy lived on, through each seed that he had planted in the garden that he would never see. And on that day, as the sun appeared to be victorious over the rain, every person vowed to make the old man proud. They vowed to go out, live fruitful lives, and entertain the children when they grew too old to travel any longer. The old man had given them the pen. It was their turn to fill in the pages.
Thank you, Callie. Next up, we have Mimi Ronson with her piece, Core. The judges thought that this was an incredibly powerful piece of writing and called it captivating and gripping. Mimi.
So this piece is called Core. Core is my middle name, and it's a Sikh middle name. Over lockdown, I've been exploring my sense of identity, and I've been exploring my ethnicity, and part of that meant looking at my Indian heritage and also the cultural history of India, which involved the 1984 anti-Sikh riots following the assassination of Indira Gandhi. So this story is inspired by that. I hope you enjoy it. Beneath the floorboards, a baby gurgles blissfully. Chubby little palms reach up to touch his sister's face. His nose wrinkles like soft silk sheets. The sister holds his hand, pressing it to her heart so he can feel the shy beat of the drums syncopated against the steady brush of a broom above their heads. Their hiding spot is cramped and the air is dense, yet the darkness seems to lull the noise of normal life into whispers. They trickle through the floorboard cracks in small droplets. The girl is certain her older sister won't find her here. She will win the game. An outburst of screams above tells a different story. Footsteps thunder like atomic rain on the floors above. Plates are crashing. The gut-churning screech of dishes and pots being pushed aside makes the little sister underneath wince. Her shaking palm flattens and she presses it softly against the board above her head. Mama? The replying voice is sharp. It cuts through the air, searing the throat of the speaker so that the words escape in mangled threads. Stay where you are. Don't. A quivering breath. Don't move. The little girl begins to cry. Snot streams down from her lip, mingling with her saline tears to form a river that seeps down her top. She snivels. She's scared and she doesn't know why. What's happening? Her mother's panicked footsteps fade away. The screams do not, only becoming clearer by the second, tumbling through the air like a tsunami of fear. Deep voices begin to rise out from the shrill. Grab the seats, cuck their hair, find them all. The little girl's heart hiccups, eyes stunned wide open. They're talking about her mama, her papa, her sisters, and she looks down at the little baby cradled in her arms. Her chest begins to swell with a deep and powerful pride. She must protect him. All of him, his rich mahogany cheeks, those stubbed little plant buds of fingers, that smile still glowing with a sickly sweet innocence. He is a gem and she is his guard, shielding him from the corruptive light above. Heavy footsteps return and the little girl tilts her head, ears pressed against the plywood as she scrutinizes every movement. Her lips are clamped shut. She holds herself still, paralyzed by the grip of terror. Looking into the deep pools of her brother's eyes, she focuses on nothing else but being completely and utterly silent. But then her brother opens his jaw, his tongue emerges and traces his lip delicately. Suddenly his face begins to twist and contort. Eyes squinting, his mouth prepares to babble in the way that used to make his sister laugh. It opens, stretching like a wide chasm. The girl's hand automatically swoops over his lips. Hush. She adjusts her wrists so the baby can breathe through his button nose, but as she does so, her kara, a steel bangle that reminds her every day who she is, gently clicks against a tooth of his. Just a minute, momentary tingle, but to her it seems deafening. They will find her. Yet after a few moments in silence, the footsteps recede, but nobody moves beneath. It's too risky, too soon. So the girl waits, counting the pattering footsteps of her heartbeat around her chest, mind clicking and adjusting as she considers what will be outside. The screams and yells haven't ceased, but they're further away or maybe fainter. They are white noise to the girl now. She knows what they mean, but her ears have numbed to their biting touch. She counts until she can count no more. Before she knows it, her hands have reached up, easing open the boards, baby still in her lap. Light blares in, stinging her eyes with waspish fury. She shifts the baby off her knee and crawls into the world again. It's a weird world to her now, though, off-kilter and submerged in a sinister kind of silence. She creeps forward and peers outside, but her head whips back almost immediately. And she begins to sob, eyes swimming with pictures of bodies and thick red blood. Blurry eyes look down at her hiding spot, and as she stares helplessly at her brother. But just for that moment, she hates him for what she sees. Beneath the floorboards, the baby gurgles blissfully.
Thank you, Mimi. Next up, we have got Christabelle Kirkham with The Man at Stall E13. And the judges praised the evocative nature of this piece and enjoyed its positive and joyful underlying message. Christabelle.
Hi, so this is my piece about a man at a market stall, and it was inspired by something I saw a few months ago. The words glare down at me. From the dusty greenish black of the chalkboard, they stared, impatient and unforgiving. Who is your inspiration? That was the question. Those were the words. It is my turn soon. My turn to trudge slowly up to the blackboard and write a few words with the powdery chalk. I need to have an answer. I need to know what I'm going to say. I can't go up there without an answer, not again. So I let my mind wander past all the common responses my classmates will write, wander into my thoughts. Suddenly I'm back at the market. Aromas of cinnamon, bread, and spices waft through the air. Colorful flags and stalls are crammed close together, but it doesn't feel cramped. The permanent smiles, the weaving and carving pathways are crowded with people. They're all laughing with permanent smiles on their faces. The sounds of a city have faded into the distance, replaced by laughter and conversation. I weave through the aisles, knowing the path by heart. Every day I come here for one thing, this. The cheer of the crowd hits me before the music does. It isn't pop music, it isn't breakup songs. No, these are fast dance songs filled with whooping and hollering. There he is, the man inside Stall E13. He plays for his fun, for our joy. He isn't selling or buying, he's giving. Giving hope, happiness, cheer. Spreading a warm golden glow throughout the market. It's glow that you can't see, but you know it's there. No, that's not entirely true. In some ways, you can see it. See it on the smiling faces, the blissful way the people dance. He's wearing gray jeans today, ripped naturally at the knee. He has on a blue and purple striped jumper, along with the bobble hat he always wears, a faded green one with a bright yellow bubble on top. That bubble always makes me smile. His brown beard makes his dark eyes sparkle, and he sings, strums his guitar. He's not sitting, though. No, he's dancing. Dancing along with his music, always moving, never stopping. A radiant sort of peace comes from within him. He's at peace with himself, his life. He's giving us some of that peace now, if only for a moment. As he goes to let out another whoop, he winks, pulling me back to the present. So now, instead of legs of lead, I skip to the front of the classroom. When my teacher hands me the chalk, I don't hesitate. I pick it up and write 5 words. The man at Stall E13.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to take a short break from hearing from this year's winners and hear from one of last year's Young Norfolk Laureates. I'd like to invite to the stage Kasey.
I'm Kasey. This is The Brazen Bull Part 1. It's got quite a long introduction, so go for that. that on its pedestal stands a gleaming grass bowl, operated by an evil tyrant's hands, an innocent, hollowed-out, life-sized bull. Yet no one mentions how pleasant the statue looks on its golden pedestal. The whole town looks so different, though, come nightfall, when life is finally breathed into the dreaded brazen bull. A fire is lit underneath, and the bull burns red with fury and torment. A man looks to his wife and son as he's thrown into the bull over the rent. Through the thoughtfully positioned pipes and whistles, the sounds of the screams are translated to mimic the sounds of a living bull. Some say now that it's only a story, a legend, and that I need not worry. But when I cry late at night, it's not for that man, and it's not for the son who lost his dad. It's for the story, for the tyrant, and for the inventor. It's for the conscience of the town who stood back and watched her be reduced to this bull, this brazen bull that is my body, brazenly feigning some kind of confidence and self-respect. But I am trapped and burning and bleeding and pleading and screaming, and the only sound that can escape is the sound of the "I'm sorry" that echoes in my head every time I apologize for not being good enough. I wriggle into a new position in a hopeless attempt to reduce the surface area of my skin on the brass. I'm sorry for skipping class. I'm sorry for not being able to breathe, and I'm sorry for not being able to tell you that I am not able to breathe. Please. Watch, but you don't see the whole town is gathered around, and no one sees me. You see the bull, you hear, "I'm sorry." But if you listen carefully, really listen, thank you.
Thank you, Kasey. It's so fantastic to finally get to hear that piece in person and live as it's intended to be heard. So thank you very much. Okay, we're back to this year's winners, and I'm really pleased to welcome to the stage Oliver Campbell with his piece Poetry, I Think. And the judges praised this provocative piece and particularly admired the rhythm as well as the blend of criticism with tongue-in-cheek humour. Oliver.
Hi. Basically, this is a little poem I wrote when I was supposed to be revising for an English test, and I was just procrastinating the whole time. And I'd like to warn if there are any English teachers in here, you're not going to like this one. All right, so this is called Poetry, I Think. Dear English examiners, do not take my lyricism as criticism. Instead, take it as a rant of frustration for the culmination and of the repetition of hours spent scouring over pages and pages of poems taught. Spaces between lines filled with multicolored notes, copies of teachers' ideas compressed to fill the margins. I take my frustration as the culmination against the continuation of the assimilation and regurgitation of multicolored notes into black, not blue ink in the examination hall, stating that the random rhyming and repetition convey the frustration and confusion of the frustrated and confused poet. The expectations and obligations to recollect translations of Shakespearean dictations to solidify in my mind, whilst reading them hundreds of times to revise, its repetition the source of my frustration and confusion. But I guess it does work. Teachers teach what must be taught, and some students can choose to ignore, but the ones who listen to the frustratingly confusing poetry, like me, write those multicolored notes patiently and see poetry. Because apparently I'm a poet and I didn't even realize I was rhyming those words into lines and standards and, well, poetry, I think. And as I sat at my heavily graffitied desk procrastinating, staring at artwork etched into the surfaces by artists who, it seems, did not care for the words of Wordsworth and Blake, quotes and ideas swirling around in my mind, battering down any hopes of free time. As the exams loom over me, in its shadow I sit, memorizing this random rhymes and repetition that convey the frustration and confusion of the frustrated and confused poet, only to vomit out essays consisting of long words, quotes, and bullshit onto lined paper, no multicolored notes allowed in the dead silence of the examination hall, and to emerge to a sigh of relief to discuss its difficulty with friends, students, and mates. And hence, therefore, in conclusion, imagine if this poem was to be taught to other frustratedly confused students, memorizing that, obviously, the random rhyming and repetition do convey the frustration and confusion of the frustrated and confused poet. Imagine that irony. 8 each.
Thank you, Oliver. Definitely brought me back to my English exam days. Okay, next up we have got Florence Bullion with her piece Lunatic, and the judges particularly admired its form and its unique style of layout and imagery. Florence.
Righty, so this one is about how moon imagery relates to being a lunatic, and it's the whole poem is actually written in the form so it looks like a crescent moon. So, yeah. At night, I like to swim in the lunar maria, the lunar oceans. Every once in a while, I can just about clamber up there if I jump high enough. And it's really peaceful, with all the same romance as floating through the Earth's sea with only the light of stars up above, or running through torrential rain one clear November evening. But I always make sure I can see the Earth over one shoulder or another, just so I don't get too tensed up. Because one time, I remember, there was nothing but night sky up above, nothing but darkness, and it pressed down rather violently on the rippling muscles of my back and neck, kept pushing me down, 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 until I sort of snapped. And so now I like to stay in this little white room with that sweet little barred window facing up into the black of night where I can just about see the moon every once in a while.
And without further ado, I would like to welcome Amy Griffiths to the stage with her piece, Will Our Love Turn to Dust? The judges called this piece beautiful and praised both the lyrics and their delivery. Amy.
Hi everyone. I'm going to sing you a song. I wish I could tell you that it's a happy song. It's not. Over lockdown, I've been writing songs since I was 11, and over lockdown I started to write songs that weren't about me at all. Some of my songs are, but a lot of them recently are not. And this song is a sort of a culmination of both of those things. As I've grown up, I say that as though I'm really old, I'm 16. As I've grown up, I've realised that getting older is quite scary and change is very scary, and I've sort of taken that idea and sort of turned it into the extreme, and that is this song. It's called Will Our Love Turn to Dust. Let me just... I hope you enjoy it.
The tears roll down, soak my shirt, bury me into the ground. It's what I deserve. The whole world shakes, the lights go down. I can feel myself outgrowing this sad little town. The days go by and my heart breaks. You know that I'm afraid of change. If I grow up, will our love turn to dust? I try to hide away. Don't wanna have to make you stay. If I grow up, will our love turn to dust? My heart feels numb, my body aches. I didn't know that I could hurt in this many ways. The night feels long, my mind's alive, but nothing ever changes 'cause I'm too scared to try. The days go by and my heart breaks. You know that I'm afraid of change. If I grow up, will our love turn to dust? I try to hide away. Don't wanna have to make you stay. If I grow up, will our love turn to dust? Now break like my heart that night. Leave like I fear you might go. Like I'm not worth staying for. Hurt like 1,000 knives. Don't let them see you cry. Go. I am not worth staying for. I'm so afraid of growing up. I know our love will turn to dust. I'd go through hell for you, I really would. And I will give this all I have, but I just can't change who I am. I hate it and I kinda wish I could. No. No.
Thank you very much, Amy. So that brings us to the end of our winners' performances. I think you'll agree with me that they were all absolutely fantastic and all very, very deserved winners. So let's have one more round of applause for everyone. Now, all that's left for me to do is to announce next year's Young Norfolk Laureates. But before I do that, I'm going to invite another of last year's Young Norfolk Laureates to the stage. So we might take just a couple of seconds shuffling all this back. So please do keep the applause going for Ryan.
Thank you. Yeah. So last year, my winning piece was about me and my mates being sort of underage idiots and almost getting stabbed in a pub. And I thought, considering we've not been able to go into one for nearly a year, like properly, I'd mix up a bit. And this one's about some class issues that me and my mates have experienced as we've been growing up. So it's called Some Geezers Who Ate the Rich. They think that we're dead boy dropouts. For we've been cannies into our streets, and we've got guilt in our feet. There's accusing eyes, knowing there's a leak on our road through rows and rows of bungalows, through our unbroken chain of poverty, which is a cost to me, not a cost to these. As we get poorer, these rich get richer. And the fact they try and give a little back as supposed charity don't sit right with me, for we see through their lies to their own agenda. And to our surprise, they're behind the shit and that life dealt us, which we overcome, right? Because we're tough. So now we're these tough boys. They label us rough boys. They say, you'll never be enough, boy. These are the blokes so obsessed with my parents' factory-met romances. They can't see past their own silver spoon-fed lies. They made us beat and batter each other's faces until we were scarred. When we shaved our pretty boy hair, they labelled us skinheads. With that, they turned our souls, that were once so full of love, into anger. And they can't see past the fact that we'd rather sit in our flat-roof pubs looking like dishevelled old men than I like them in their high, white, ivory towers sipping on their whiskey and wine, for I preferred the bubbles in my lager. It's with each of their condescending, conniving stares that fuel the anger in our fists, that turn the throttles in our throats, for when we shout that we hate you, you'll be the best damn meal that we've ever had.
Thank you very much, Ryan. So it is with great pleasure that I get to announce this year's Young Norfolk Laureates, and we have 2 Young Norfolk Laureates again this year. And I'm going to just ask you to stand up in your seats when I read out your names, so everyone can give you an applause. And then if all of the winners at the very end can just come and see me, I've got a little goodie bag for you all. So this year's Young Norfolk Laureates are Callie Arlow and Mimi Ronson. Thank you very much. We so look forward to working with you over the next year and to welcome you back again in a year's time for a performance like this at the next showcase. Thank you. So I know that the time is ticking on and we're almost at kickoff. So I'll make my final remarks short and sweet. I just want to say a really big thank you to the Geoffrey Watling charity for supporting the Young Norfolk Laureate programme in this coming year, and also to Anguish's Educational Foundation for its support of the competition. I'd like to thank Lucy Farrant, Millie Kirby and all the team at Young Norfolk Arts, Becky Demon, without whom the competition would not be possible, and Robert Rickard for providing the spark at the competition's origin, and we join his colleagues at Norfolk County Council wishing him a very happy retirement, and we are sad to see you go. I'd also like to thank all of our performers tonight, Poppy, Kasey and Ryan, as well as one last big round of applause for all the winners. Thank you, everyone.